Okay, you stand there. Pass me a club.
Sure.
So a good way of explaining what we're trying to do, right, is talking about arm structure. Okay. Now, here's kind of what you're doing, right? The setup isn't too bad. Your arms are pretty straight in the setup. There's a little bit of forward shuffling, but not enough, right? There's straight up, and there's a little bit of forward shuffling. We want a little bit more than that, right? And then as we go back, and the reason why I've got this stick in the middle is because as we go back, what we're trying to do is we're trying to keep the center of our shoulders, which is what our head and our neck's on, right, over the stick. So if we're going back and we put a stick between our legs and we're going back and we stop at the top of the swing and we're over here and I say, right, stop, right? You know instantly just with your awareness that your head has moved significantly behind the stick, right? Now if I pulled up, 10 tour pros on the V1 app now, you're going to see that their head stays pretty stable during their backswing, right? So that's the first part. Got to keep the upper body center in the same spot and then just learn to pivot around that position, right? The second part is how we're controlling the tool with our hands and arms and elbows, right? So what you're doing is the head's moving behind the ball, and as we're getting up to the top of the swing, these arms are really breaking down, and by breaking down I mean the arms really bending, right? The elbows are getting significantly further apart from one another, right? And we kind of look a little bit like this. So what you find, the trick there is understanding that, number one, we want our elbows squeezing together as best we can. And number two, we always want the feeling, the sensation that the hands are pushing away from the chest, right? So when we slow it down on the V1 in a second, what we're gonna look for and what I'll show you with the pros is the head stays pretty stable, right? We're pivoting around the center of the shoulders. So that keeps the head still. And as they get up to the top here, there's this sensation that the hands are pushing away from the chest and the elbows are squeezing together. As soon as you let the hands come close to your body, the elbows get further apart and the elbows bend, look, right? So you're coming down from your head being way behind the ball and you're really hardly any structure with your hands and arms and wrists. So we want to stay centered, which is way more forward than what you're used to. And we want some better structure as we get up to the top of the swing here. So the feeling is the hands and arms, hands are away from the chest, elbows squeezing together. That straightens your arm. It keeps your right arm in a better position here, so that when we start to come down, we've got a better chance of making a better pass at the golf ball. Does that make sense? Good. Show me that.